Welcome everybody to another edition of Let's Livestream. This week we have a special guest. I don't think we've ever had this guest here before. I'm really excited to have Amir Zanozi from Zoomph. And if you guys have not had a chance to either peruse their website, get to know what their products are, get to know really what their services are, then this is going to be the video podcast for you this week. So with having said that, guys, I'm really excited to have everybody here. We're going to be broadcasting out on a handful of channels this week on Periscope. You'll be able to find us on Facebook over at VitMug, and you would be able to also find us on our new YouTube channel. So I want to welcome and encourage all of you. Watch us there. If you are also participating in this as a Twitter chat, you guys know that there are some rules with Twitter chat. And let's go over some of the rules, because Twitter chats are one of the best ways to get to know people that you have never met before in the social media platform. So going over some of the rules, we actually have some very simple rules. The first one is, well, you have to use the hashtag Let's Livestream. It's absolutely essential. This way, everybody else can find out what you're talking about and what you're doing as well. Rule number 2 is when you're answering the Twitter questions, and we have 6 of them, just use the letter A for answer and then the number of the question you're answering. Make sure you also use the hashtag Let's Livestream. Now, this is a Twitter chat, as I said before, but this is a live stream Twitter chat. And so you're going to be able to find us on several platforms, like we've said before, talking about and using the hashtag Let's Livestream or the handle Let's Livestream. So I really hope to be able to catch you guys there. Also, and this is the most important part, we really hope that you learn something from every episode of this of our channel, of our broadcast here. We hope that you guys have fun, because that is it's probably one of the most important things about being able to learn new things and meet new people, is have some fun. And then also, we really hope that you will have the opportunity and be able to share the broadcast out. So that's exactly what I'm going to do right now. Is I am going to be sharing this out, and I want to also say just a real quick hello to everybody that's watching us on Periscope, and now also everybody that's watching us on Facebook. Guys, thank you so much for being a part of this as we're moving over. But for right now, let's bring on our guest, Amir Zanozi. Amir, I really appreciate you taking time out and joining us. And I said this in the pre-show, Amir. You know, this is the first time this has ever happened, that everybody involved in this channel, in our broadcast today, is actually in the state of Virginia. It's never happened before. So
That's awesome. You know, a lot of people say Virginia is for lovers, but I would really say Virginia is for live streamers. And
ooh.
might I add, Jonathan, your shelf is so much better than mine. Mine is just like so dinky on one level. I'm very jealous of your shelf.
Well,
Uh,
it's I've collected crap for probably about 20 years, and that's about half of it. So,
nice.
so the more you collect, the more you'll have. But you know what? I got to say, I don't have any emoji pillows or icons. So, I mean, I really like what you're doing there. So
Thank you. I'm gonna have to send you this one right here. This poop emoji has your name on it.
I
So
also loved how you had to pull it out. It's the back
I
pillow,
was
right?
resting on it. That was kind of awkward.
Yeah. Well, Amir, thank you so much for joining us today. We do have a good handful of people that are watching us on some of the different social channels, and this is a Twitter chat. So in full disclosure for everybody else, I've already given Amir the questions, so there's no surprise questions that he knows of. And so first off, I wanted to make sure that everybody has a chance that as we go through the questions, do take some time on whatever, either the platform, but particularly on the Twitter. On the Twitter chat side of this, you got to answer, because we have a giveaway today from Zoomph, and this is going to be something you guys are going to probably, well, I think you're going to want. I know it's something that I would definitely use, but we're going to give one of these away, and so you have to participate though on Twitter, and I will be looking on Twitter to be able to see, guys, who's actually replying and things like that, and so one of them is going to win that today. So we'll get to that. All right, so let's get right into question number 1. Question number 1, if you're a live streamer, you guys, all of you know that this is something really important for you to pay attention to. All right, because when you live stream, but let's just ask it straight out. This is something we all think about, and when we think about live streaming, what are the most important metrics to pay attention to in live streaming? And there's views, there's organic reach, there's click throughs, there's peak viewers. There's so many different things to pay attention to when it comes to live streaming. But I want to turn this question over to Amir when he had a moment to be thinking about what in his opinion, when he looks at the broader context of metrics and social media platforms, to him, what is it that stands out amongst live streaming that makes the metrics that's something you need to pay attention to?
Live stream based off of that. And unfortunately, I'm here to tell you that doesn't exist. There's not one metric that's going to help you get better engagement, better everything. I- It's about the story of what those metrics are telling you and looking at by seeing these data points, by seeing average time of the stream that people are watching, by seeing click throughs, by seeing this, what is that story telling you about the audience that's watching your content? And at the end of the day, it's all about attention, right? You want to make sure that you're getting attention for the content that you're creating. And one of the highest variables around that is relevancy, which is not really a metric that's just easily accessible. You've got to look at all these different data points to say, okay, I'm being relevant because I am seeing people watch for longer times. I'm seeing followers increase over videos. I'm seeing engagement increase over time, sharing happen, people listening to my calls of actions. So I would look at this, and we call this principle, humanizing the data. You know, looking at all these different data points, that's just looking at a map. How do I get from, here to in visiting Jonathan in Lynchburg, Virginia? Like, how do I get from Reston to Lynchburg? You know, big data just tells you the map, right? The journey I take is the journey of the customer. And for you to understand what journey your customer goes through, do they start watching you on Facebook and start engaging with you on Twitter and then on Instagram, and then you see them fill out an email subscription? Understanding the paths that they take and why is the most important uh, process around the metrics. So I don't want you to get hung up on one specific metric. It's about what that data tells you from those metrics that you're looking at.
That's really a pretty cool way of looking at it, because I know a lot of people get stuck on like my views. Well, I only got like 100 views, or I got 1,500 views, and they get stuck on the number rather than what is the number actually telling them. I, I always liked a couple years ago, I came across this saying. I heard somebody was bringing it out. They said, well, you can't pay your bills with likes. And their whole point really was, it doesn't matter how many likes or how much engagement necessarily that, or engagement we were talking about, I think like Instagram at the time. It doesn't matter how many people actually hit the heart button. What they're actually working on was, hey, how is your business doing? Are people actually clicking through? Are they actually taking action on it and going deeper than just the cursory, flip through? I like, everything that has the hashtag let's live stream, right? It's deeper. It's, well, what's the significance of your data, in what are you able to do with it? um, so I'm wondering for you, do you live stream sporadically or regularly? How would you say that you live stream?
Yeah, for me myself, I've been experimenting with live streaming. So I've done some on my own personal channel, doing like tech reviews of whatever gadgets and stuff like that. And I've also done I've been a guest on other people's live streams. Always had really great engagement from that. Live provides this authenticity that people can see. You're passionate about certain topics. It's engaging in the moment, and for that, I love it as a way to connect with people. For me, it's about connecting with where those audiences are, and there's a certain audience that you're connecting to with live that you would not be able to connect in other ways. And in today in technology, it's you've got to be where they are. They are not going to come to your different channels. You've got to go meet them to where they currently are. So live streaming for me is just a great example of being able to get there in that way. I find it's great for behind the scenes, getting real. This talk show host format is awesome. One thing you mentioned earlier that I just had to go back to, I love that, was with the 100 followers and I'm stuck on that. And it's like, but who are those 100 followers? Are they customers of yours? Is that mom, dad, and their friends? Like, it makes a difference between who is in that audience and are they your target audience or not. It's looking beneath those metrics with the story behind that. But yeah, live is fantastic. I mean, I'm having fun right now, and I love the questions that are coming in, all the tweets, all the comments on the Periscope. Keep them coming.
One of the big the I think the big shifts when we talking about video and then adding live was that what live was really doing, it's giving you the ability to look directly at what people are doing and interacting and what they're feeling literally in the moment. As opposed to a post and then you gather data, or you gather engagement and conversation that happens throughout the day, and sometimes it happens over like a LinkedIn post will happen and will gather momentum through the week. It's not like a tweet in a minute and a half or 13 and a half minutes. The tweet is kind of obsolete unless it gets huge engagement. So different platforms act differently. And but one of the things that I really love about live is that if you want in the moment people's visceral reactions of seeing what they like, what they don't, how they want to interact, then live video gives you that like nothing else has ever given us. And that's but when we look back on and we look at what the data says and how many people are watching, how they share, where they share it, and I mean both platform as well as geographically. I noticed that that Facebook is now telling me, hey, your live streams did really well in New York City, and I'm like, really? That's not. I mean, I don't market to New York City. Other times it was California. They told me that that our broadcast did really well in California. And I just thought that was very interesting that Facebook is now putting it out there, kind of carte blanche, going, hey, this is you need to pay attention to these metrics because I think they're understanding it.
Yeah, and I think that's fascinating because California and New York, I mean, that's a 3-hour difference. Last time I checked, hopefully, but those are different data consumption habits, and those are different audience members that are paying attention to you that are doing different things in their life. Because me 3 hours ago was in a different mentality and doing, in work mode and meetings and like, and so it's understanding that your audience has different data consumption. Like some people might tweet you after they drop their kids off of school. Some people might look at you on the metro, on the ride home, and understanding how you put that content out there to make it to serve them when they are paying attention.
Mm.
And one thing that you mentioned with live and that visceral, like real time reaction is by the content that we're creating as we speak, we can see the engagement increase and decrease by what we're saying. So we have a set list of certain topics that we want to talk about. We see a decrease in engagement during certain questions. We can take that back and say, okay, our audience is not really too interested in these types of topics. Or if they stop, listening, or they sign off and, God forbid, we can say like, okay, we're not keeping them interested when we're talking about these. But if we're seeing more engagement based off the questions that we're asking, it lets us know that we're connecting and we're being more relevant to them. So, and then that's another great prospect of live is just seeing that real time reaction from your audience.
Hey, let's move on to question number two because I think we're already getting into this topic, because and I think a lot of people fit into this because when we talk about like our businesses and things like this, and I just used that metric earlier before. I said, well, what about that 100 followers? But a lot of people feel stuck in that 100, maybe 500, maybe less than 1,000, where they don't feel that it's a big enough number to do anything with. But other businesses thinking that, oh well, I'm under 1 million, so guess what? I need more followers to be able to get enough traction. So I wanted to ask this: how big of a digital footprint does someone need to effectively use Zoomph? And of course, I'm asking about Zoomph for a reason because, well, Amir, you're with Zoomph, and but a lot of the services that they're providing and the products that they have are really geared towards helping people understand, helping businesses understand their audiences and better ways to engage. So, how big of a digital footprint do you need?
That's such a great question, Jonathan. And our way of looking at social media is a little bit different. It's sort of upside down, where we look at what audiences talk about, what audiences that you want to connect to care about, and then how can you connect to that audience. So it's not so much about your audience and how big they are. It's about knowing who you're trying to connect to.
You let me know. Yeah. If not, let me know. Hmm. This is actually a first. I've never had it shut down mid midstream.
It's the Virginia connection.
Right. All right. All right. Hey, everybody. After a little quick technical difficulty, we're back. But I wanted to reiterate, and let's get right back into it. Question number 2: how big of a digital footprint does someone need to effectively use Zoomph? And I wanted to turn it right over to Amir so we can get right back on track, and give him a chance to tell us a little bit about, like, I don't know, Amir, what do you think?
Yeah, that's such a great question, Jonathan. So good that we had to ask it twice. That it's not about exactly the size of your audience. It's about understanding who your audience is, or who your audiences are, if that makes sense. Because you don't have one specific audience. You have multiple groups of people that listen to you for different reasons, that engage with your content or buy your product or service for different reasons. So having whatever size your digital footprint is fantastic, but for us it's more important, and we look at social media a little bit upside down, a little bit backwards than most people. We care about who your target audience is and what they care about, so that you can connect yourself to those topics so that you're relevant to them. So people are complex, they have different interests, they listen to different music. People are even different on different platforms. Like me on LinkedIn is completely different than me on Instagram with my cat photos. So, looking at these different channels, looking at these different experiences that people put out there from your audiences, it's not about so much your digital footprint on using Zoom. It's about who do you want to talk to and what is important to them, and then how can you be helpful to them? How can you be relevant? So, that's what's important for us, is just connecting you to those points of relativity so that you can be more helpful to your audiences.
I absolutely think that's a completely right on track with what people are they're starting to experience, but I don't think they've a lot. I don't think a lot of people have put the words to that experience the just quite the way that you have. I mean, they kind of know that it's better to have a good quality 100 of followers that they're interacting. They're the ones that are going to be they're your avid customers. So when you say, hey, look, this is, click on this or join me at this event or come visit me in person, they're the ones that are going to do that, rather than have like 10,000 people that they might show up occasionally, they might like one of your posts, and they'll stop by and go, hey, it's great to see you, and then as soon as they're done, then they skip out on the rest of your your live show. The different levels of engagement, and it's not in an effort to guilt people in, but it's from a business side. You're looking at, okay, who are those core members, who are the really dedicated viewers. So if you only need 100 of those to make your business great and grow, that's great. Now, obviously bigger brands, 100 people probably aren't going to be enough. Maybe they need 1,000, 10,000, and up. And so what we're looking at really is how big of a digital footprint. I think it's the wrong question to ask, really. I think it's how dedicated are your followers. Now, guys, I know that as we move on to question number 3, it's already gone live in Twitter. We're playing a little bit of a catch-up game right now. But I do want to tell you this, that you have to, if you want to be able to to get the giveaway from Zoomph today, you have to participate in the Twitter chat today. Make sure that you're using the hashtag Let's Livestream when you answer the questions, interact, and let us know what you guys are seeing and what your guys' thoughts are. Because you know, when we talk about what kind of metrics and some people shy away from this, but we're really trying to put this into context that I think that would make more sense to you. So question number 3 is just exactly that. We want to know, as live streamers, we want to know how to gain and keep an audience, but sometimes without actual data, it's a guessing game. It's I wasn't sure, maybe if I just do this topic they're going to like it, maybe if I just go on at a different time. But with analytics, that's what I want to know. And so, Amir, from your perspective, and we can talk about Facebook specifically, or Twitter, or Periscope, or whatever you pick, the platform or platforms. But how do you create an audience from analytics? I'd really like to know.
Yeah, no, that's right on with our topic today, and it's understanding who they are, and by doing that, it's looking at what metrics that are being shown. Earlier, you were talking about Facebook is telling you that you're doing well in New York and you're also doing well in California. Well, those are two very different audiences. And you know, you just think of an average New Yorker and an average Californian, you have two different ideas in your head of like what those people make up, you know, like what do those people care about? What do they talk about? So looking at these audiences, it's about understanding their other interests and passions, and there's certain platforms that give you different data. So looking at your demographics, you know, what age group are they? Gen Z? Are they millennials? Are they, you know, Gen X or baby boomers? Where does your audience lie? Do you have different sections of each? And if you do have that, then they probably are paying attention to you for different reasons. And it's about understanding what those are through the data that you're looking at. Can you segment those millennials and look at the top words that they use or hashtags? Uh, and earlier we were talking about that, you know, Power 100, the people that are most engaged with you. Well, for those people that are not really engaged with you, what comprises their demographic? What are some of their things that they also follow, like, and engage with? And it's important to know that. So if you wanted to kind of bring those people in, you can start mentioning those other topics and associating yourself with those other brands that they engage and enjoy. Um, our platform kind of does that, where you look at those associations where you can see what other brands that they mention. And there's also this concept of lookalike audiences. So understanding that you have this specific audience that engages with your content. Well, where can you get other people that show that same behavior or have similar interests that are in other places that might enjoy your content as well? So how do you replicate that audience? Um, it's like, you know, people that are into rock music and you're a specific rock band. If you go to different cities, you're going to find other people that are into rock music as well and might enjoy your music and start following you and buying your stuff. So it's like, how do I go to places I haven't been, looking at my data, looking at what this audience comprises of, and how do I introduce this to similar audiences that I have not engaged with? So with Facebook, you know, we're kind of limited here. The best way to connect on Facebook is through paid, and it's intentionally done so, which is, you know, why they're doing so great when you look at, you know, their stocks and everything. But if you look at the other platforms, there's different ways where you can get in front of other people, like hashtags, understanding, you know, different cities have different hashtags, different keywords that you could be utilizing to get in front of people, or collaborating with other accounts that have more influence in these other areas, that might be similar to what your audience is into. So it's kind of a long answer, but I
Right.
think it's important to look at, uh, looking at these audiences, understand there's multiple audiences within it, and how do you speak to each one of them so it feels like you're only speaking to just them.
Mhm.
One thing I'm going to add to that, Jonathan, is you can do specific campaigns that target each one of those audiences. We did this really fantastic campaign with Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Nationwide and the Wasserman Agency. They're fantastic. And what we did was they were trying to sell more pet insurance. So we had a pet contest where you could get the photo of your pooch or your kitten on the back of Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s car. Well, we know that people that are going to be participating in that campaign are going to be pet owners. And so we can ask them a couple questions to better understand who we're talking to in that household that that pet is coming from. So that when we create ads later to target these individuals, it's talking about things that are important to them, like other pets that they might have. They get a chance to get their pet on the back of Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s car. They give you a little bit more information so that you can be more helpful to them. And so it's a win-win situation by both sides. So it's kind of using this by creating specific campaigns that you out that specific audience that you're going for, and then you later hold on to that audience knowing every time I talk about pets, I'm going to talk to this group. And I'm going to send an email just to this group. And I'm going to get the best conversion from this group.
Mm. I really like that, because what that means is that you actually do have to know your audience, and it's not just data numbers. It's not just percentages and ROIs and ratios and stuff. It is, I mean, that's an aspect of it, but it really is knowing what you're talking about and how your audience is relating to what your topics are, your questions. I mean, we have 6 questions, and they are all, I mean, they're not all the same questions. They're not all exclusively talking about just live streaming or just analytics. There's different questions, so maybe we're asking different questions to reach different and to be able to come to different conclusions, or trying to understand things differently. And kind of speaking of that, one of our viewers over on Facebook, Michael Lucy, he was asking, and I want to ask his question right now, because I think it's really a great time. He was asking, can Amir discuss the capabilities of his API? And Amir, while you're doing that, would you just tell us actually more about Zoomph, and maybe even about a little bit more about the giveaway that we're going to do today?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. And Michael, fantastic question. So we we utilize social media platforms and pull that data into our platform and try to attempt to normalize it to give different customers different data that's important about their audiences. We've got specific algorithms that we've created that allow us to do this. So we look at information like their names, we look at information like the accounts they follow and location. And we do all this, and we're able to categorize your data into specific little audiences that you have. And we have APIs that connect this to other platforms. So other platforms might use us to rank influencers. We have an algorithm that does that. It's actually how our company started. We started looking for democracy in areas of the Arab Spring, and clout really just didn't solve that. And what we did was we looked at Google's approach to influence, and we said, if someone is creating engagement, if they're creating conversations, but it's relative to only this hashtag, then we know that they're influential in this topic. And it started with that, and then we were able to expand off of it. So we've got tons of customers using our APIs today, other platforms that are able to, look at it for the audience segmentation component, looking at it for CRM matching. Imagine that you have your entire CRM, all your customers, with relevant social media cliff notes about their social media footprint. So if this was my first time talking to Jonathan, I could look at him and I could grab some information to understand how to best talk to him, other topics that he likes to talk about. I use this all the time myself. It's almost like cheating a little bit at conferences, because you can reach out and connect to someone that's the same conference and say something that is a little, that they're passionate about it. There was this one lady at a conference at Inbound 15. It was HubSpot's event. And I always tweet out the top influencers, and it's my way of getting my face out there, Michael. And all I did was mention, like, Joe Rowley #7. She responded back to me, and she's like, Amir, I can't believe I'm #7. I looked up her author card, and I was like, Steph Curry #3. So I was like, keep killing it, Jill. You're like Steph Curry on Twitter. And she just completely opened up. She followed me. She started sending me photos of her husband and Steph Curry playing golf. And I didn't ask for photos of her husband, but that's the thing. When you become relatives to someone, when you find something that connects you and them outside of the obvious, they feel compelled to open up. They trust you and they want to share more content with you because there's that sense of relativity. And so that's what our platform does. We look at people's social media footprints. We find the things that they like to talk about, and we do it on a one-to-one level where you can connect your API to your CRM, or we can do it on an aggregate level so that your brand can use this to identify who those people are that you should be talking to, or who are those lookalike audiences. Um, so today we're doing a giveaway. We're giving a month of Zoomph Enterprise to whoever is using the Let's Livestream hashtag and participating in the chat today. So make sure that you're asking tough questions. Make sure you're engaging with other people in the conversation. And if you feel that audience analytics will help you improve your business, knowing your customers even better would help you improve your business, then definitely engage with the Let's Livestream and reach out to us, and we'd be happy to help you.
Amir, I'm kind of going through all of our social and just trying to track people down and things like this. And a lot of people really, they are just coming to the understanding that analytics are not super crazy, scary. They may feel that way in the moment, but as they get through it, and one of the things I really liked about what Zoomph does, it just doesn't like throw the service out there. It actually puts a personal connection. It puts that personal connection so that if you have a question about, oh, what is this analytics, what's this feature, you guys make yourself available to be able to do that walkthrough. And I think that's actually one of the big parts about that. If I was to recommend Zoom to somebody, I would say, hey, you can sign up for the service, but make sure that you reach out and you talk to the customer service, because they will do walkthroughs. They will ask you, how can this service best serve your needs and your audience, and what your goals are. And I think that's one of the really big things that I think I would bring out. Um, and I know we have some other questions, and question number 4 is already coming out, and I want to make sure I didn't miss anybody's comment or things like this. Um, let's see here. I know that let me just kind of breeze through here. I see Alfredo, you're tweeting. I love it. And Sabrina Cadini, she's on Periscope. Let me see if I can find anybody else here. Guys, thank you again for sharing it out. Hey, let's go into question number 4. Let's kind of keep this going, because I think this is now where we kind of shift gears, and we, instead of just talking about in the general sense, well, what is this about? Let's talk about, what does real fan engagement look like on Facebook? And I chose Facebook because that's where a lot of us hang out. We do jump from from video to video, or we have multiple fan pages we like, or groups that we interact with. We have friends, and so there's different levels and styles, but it's all centered around the one social platform. So Amir, to you, and you could tie it into what it looks like on the analytics side, but what does real fan engagement look like on Facebook?
It's my answer might not be a popular one, but it's straight up conversion. I mean, that at the end of the day, you had that quote that I absolutely love: "Light bulbs don't pay the bills," and that's, at the end of the day, it's conversion, because you can get all the engagement that you'd like, and maybe it is just about amplification, getting a message out there, and you want to engage, and you're not necessarily selling a product or service, or not looking for money. If that's the case, that's fantastic. But for most people, it's about helping their business and getting some type of conversion. So putting in indicators, putting in tests, putting in bit.ly links, for example, to see who's who's converting out, or putting in forms maybe that you're asking people to fill something out to show that they're engaging or downloading your content. That's the most important, at least to me. Looking at the data of, like, who's actually engaging in doing this content, and are they engaging enough where they follow me outside of Facebook? Because like you said, John, Facebook is a fantastic place for people to be at, but you don't own your Facebook page. Facebook does. That's rented real estate. Where you need to be getting people is across that bridge, and each social channel is a bridge. Don't ever forget that. They will show up and then they will leave. You look at Vine, you look at Meerkat, RIP. You look at Blab. But you look at these platforms that are out there, they're not always going to be there. Something's going to happen. And what your goal should be is to hang out and engage and then bring those people over to your website, get them connected to your email, get their information, connect with them in other ways. So whatever that engagement might be, whether it's shares or likes or comments, and there's ways of like looking at these metrics to get understand things. If you're getting a lot of comments, it might be because a lot of people are disagreeing on stuff. If there's no comments and a lot of likes, maybe people agree on what you're saying. But for me, I think it's most important to get people out from them specific networks and put them in a way that you can categorize them and connect with them no matter what, always, whatever that source might be. So it's a fantastic question. One thing that you were saying earlier about analytics being kind of scary and kind of realizing it's not that. I just want to tell one quick story of an ad campaign that I was absolutely infatuated with, and that was Spotify. Spotify put out these billboards in London, in New York, in LA, and what they did was they were showing that they're proving, and this is what their point was, we can tell what emotions people are exhibiting by what songs or how many beats per minute are in the song. So you should advertise with Spotify because we'll tell you the emotion behind people engaging with our ads. Well, they put up ads that said, dear person who listened, it's the end of the world 840 times last year. What happened? Hang in there. Like, dear person that listened to I'm sorry on Valentine's Day 42 times. What did you do? And so they're humanizing the data points, because you could just say this song was listened a lot on this day. But if you start putting together the pieces of saying, well, it was Valentine's Day, the song is about a breakup, and it was played excessively because most likely the person listening was sad about the breakup. You can put together that entire story by looking at analytics, but expressing it in a human way. So definitely do not be scared of the data. The data is storytelling in a way with like you're putting a scene together, like a murder scene or something like that. Not so negatively, right? But you're looking at these different data points to understand what happened, what's going on, and how can I connect better with it.
Hmm.
Anyways, Facebook is a fantastic place, and I'm glad we're streaming on it right now as well.
Hmm. I'm really intrigued by a lot of the ways that people are using that they're using the Facebook platform, because there is that personal profile. And right now we know that Facebook is really pushing that organic friend to friend, family to family, that kind of interaction. And so they're decreasing a lot of the organic reach for their business pages and things like this. But I guess I just wanted to ask, if for you and what you can see, how do how can live streamers and those that are like producing these live videos, how can they find new leads and actually convert them to sales? Is there, I know it's not a one single answer, but if you were to say, look, this is a really good trend, or this is something to watch, do you have any insight that you could give on that?
Yeah, I'm going to be a little dramatic here. And I think organic is dead on Facebook as far as for Facebook fan pages. Without any type of paid boost or lift, it's really, really hard to connect with people.
Hmm.
And they're incentivized to do that. And I 100% agree with you, Jonathan. Personal page is the way to go to get any type of growth. Now, you look at Facebook, and they've got their own algorithms. It's called EdgeRank. And what EdgeRank does is it justifies what you should be seeing. You've noticed certain trends on maybe your mobile app where the Facebook posts and Instagram posts have been getting bigger. Well, they want to know what you're looking at and for how long you're looking at that. And they use that as an ad so that you can categorize and run against that. And good for them and good for you if you're, acquiring ads on Facebook. You'll get great results. It's intended for that.
Right.
But
It is intended. I mean, they're
yeah,
they're they're trying to they're trying to provide more avenues for them as a business to create revenue. But we have to understand that Facebook is also trying to, they can't just continually serve ads and expect businesses if there's no return
right.
on that ad spend. Because any business, I mean, you might drop $1,000 in ads on a particular campaign or campaign set, but you're not going to keep doing that if you're not getting conversions.
Right.
There's just no sense in it. There's no way to be able to do that.
Yeah, and the other thing is, Jonathan, is that with Facebook, it's so we know that organic growth, like person to person, does well. But if we know why it does well, there's certain traits in the algorithm that we can game to get in front of more people. If that kind of makes sense.
Hmm.
So if you word congratulations, more people are going to see your post across all their feeds. Now, don't everyone write congratulations, all at once, but like there's certain things. Video, if you put a YouTube video on your Facebook post, no one's going to see it. You've got to use native Facebook video to be seen because they want to promote more video. Only one time ever did Facebook have more video views and content over YouTube. Uh, do you, Jonathan, you want to guess when that was?
Was that like during like a Super Bowl event or something like that?
Almost the ACLS challenge where they took the ice buckets and they
Oh, the
put
ice bucket.
because it spread because people would tag each other. It was personal. They utilized the personal network. So Facebook realizes how important a personal network is and how that they can overtop YouTube. Other than that, YouTube's always on top. But doing stuff like creating native content on the platforms, experimenting with different ways that you format your posts by in understanding this marketing is science. Don't believe anything else. You can treat this in a way to look at, if I add this with this, how does this react?
Hmm,
And you should always be doing that with your audience, not just on Facebook, everywhere.
hmm.
And by doing that, once you create that formula, it's going to change. Unfortunately, that's the life we live in. Technology goes so fast. But once you understand these different formulas, that's the best way to kind of understand, well, with my audience, with where I am and where I show my content, these are the formulas that work. So I'm going to keep doing them and experimenting with them to see what generates the most leads from it. But these are fantastic questions. And I'm sure they're all pain points for everyone that's listening.
Right. And as we've kind of pushed through and we've gone through it, we really do understand that, like you were saying, that organic, particularly on Facebook, a outside of your personal profile, it's not effective just to rely exclusively on organic. Another aspect of it is knowing your competition. And Facebook has put in it, several of those analytic metrics, so you can kind of see, and some very, 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 uh, uh, um, very, very generic ways how somebody else's page, the competitor's page, is doing. Maybe the number of posts and the amount of organic, the number of engagement, and how many likes they've had, increase over. But when it starts to, is there a way though? And this is question number 5, everybody, just in case you're kind of wondering. Question number 5: is it possible to know your competition, and how does that help your business? And of course, we're talking in terms of analytics and stuff, but I mean, Amir, what do you think for that?
Yeah, I mean, for any growth, right, you've got to set specific goals. And if you don't have goals, you're just making wishes, right? So to understand what kind of growth you're having, you're going to need to look and benchmark yourself in some format. And the easiest way to benchmark yourself is at looking at other people in your space trying to do the same thing. Competition is great. It's going to push you, it's going to motivate you to do better. But it's important to look at your competitors in your space and understand, what do they do differently? What do they do well? What do they drop the ball on? And how can we pick the ball up before they do? And there's tons of ways of doing this. Like you mentioned, there's the pages on Facebook where you can look at their growth and their activity on there as well. One thing that I like to do is I utilize private lists on Twitter. It's, I think, one of by far the most underutilized metrics on Twitter itself. And what I do is I follow on these lists. I don't technically follow them. I just add them to the list so they don't know I'm listening. All all of our competitors, and I constantly look at it to see what they're talking about, what's new to them. And then I also follow, companies I'm trying to work with or partners that I'm trying to have. So not just competitors, but also looking at, potential partners. How can I talk like them? At the end of the day, and uh, Seth Godin said this very well. It's like we're all in tribes, and in order to be accepted by the tribe, you've got to look like them, you've got to talk like them, and they will accept you in. And so it's by looking at these different drivers, how do you understand how can you start sharing content and creating content that makes them match? So with competitors, we do a lot of stuff internally. Like we've got a feature called workflows, and you can probably do this too with like if this then that IFTTT. But we look for mentions of our competitors with negative sentiment. So if people are saying our competitor's name negatively, we have an email that comes to us. We have it set up like that in Zoom. And we care because we know they just messed up, and that's a chance for us to be the hero. That's a chance for us to save the day. Now, it's not always going to be like that. It's sentiment. If I say this is badass, you're like, yeah, that's awesome. Computer's going to be like, oh, that's negative. My other favorite metaphor is like Coca-Cola, ice cold, fantastic. Tinder and Bumble, ice cold, not so great. But there is a little bit of subjectivity there. But if you can use these automations to look at your competitors and see when they mess up, then that's a great opportunity for you to do that. But you need to be learning what they do well, who is in their audience, who are influencers in their audience, and then how do you win them over, or how do you create content that is targeting that audience without them knowing it, so you're looking and talking and acting the way that their audience has, if that kind of makes sense.
No, it really does, because we and as you've discussed, I mean, like really well. It's like there's it's absolutely essential now, and now it's not just something we know that we should be doing, but we have the tools to be able to do it. And it's this is I mean this is not like corporate espionage. I mean, this is seeing what people are doing, what people are talking about brands that are either in the industry, or it's somebody that you want to engage with at doing business, your other potential partners. And this is a really good chance. I mean, with VitMug, we keep the eye I keep an eye on the industry in terms of, well, what's an opportunity, where does our services best fit for the for potential clients. And so when we see that opportunity, we definitely reach out. And so I like to see that that's exactly what Zoomph has as a tool set. And as we kind of move in, and we have question number 6, and we'll kind of let this, and I put this together because I wanted to hear what it will just put this together as kind of like as your final thoughts. But for those of you guys that don't already know, you guys, if you guys want to be able to get the Zoomph Enterprise, or you pick, tell you what, how about this? If you guys pick the the level, the subscription level that you want to that you feel would best fit your business, make sure you're tweeting about and engaging with today using the Let's Livestream hashtag. We're going to pick a winner, and then after the broadcast, we'll work on getting you and Amir in touch to be able to set this up so that you guys can benefit from all of the services, or from the service that you guys want within Zoom. The second thing that I wanted to ask about, and just and ask you guys, would you all, if you haven't had a chance yet, go over to our YouTube channel, and you can either search for it on YouTube, just search for VitMug, and that's where we broadcast, and we have content going out 4 days a week, including this show. But if you would just go over to vmug.pro/VitMug YouTube, subscribe to our channel, and make sure you click on the bell so that you actually get the notifications to see when we go live, because YouTube is a really great platform to be able to watch our content after, if you haven't already been able to be there. All right, so question number 6 is pretty simple and straightforward, but I wanted to ask Amir, because he's kind of in the industry here. I wanted to ask, what is the future of personalized marketing? And that isn't just a buzzword, it's really the word that we're using to describe what's happening in marketing. So Amir, what are your thoughts? What is the future? Where are we going when we talk about that personalized marketing aspect?
Yeah, it's very simple. Be like Netflix, don't be like Blockbuster. Amazon is really leading the way in this, but you want to personalize the entire experience as much as you can for everyone that you're interacting with. If I just kind of make a blanket statement, it doesn't really affect you, you're not going to pay attention. But if I'm like Jonathan, and he's going to immediately look at me and be like, "What?" So it's, you want to talk specifically to your audience. So whatever you can. And now the marketplace is just going to go this way. I mean, a lot of people are saying, is retail dead, right? And it's not about retail being dead. It's about bad experiences, unpersonalized experiences being exposed, and other people are doing it better. So people are going to those services, which Amazon has been doing a fantastic job at it. You look at everything that you pick, it's like, well, other people put this in their shopping basket. And you're like, well, I might want to put that too. And you put that in. And they're not, you know, you ask Jeff Bezos, like, oh, there was this famous story where someone was like, Jeff, with your prices this low, how can you survive as an e-commerce retail company? Because we're not a retail company, we're not e-commerce, we're we what was it? We're a commenting platform, and what he cares about, we're a review platform. I'm sorry, and he cares about the reviews of what people are placing, and he uses that to empower everything. So by listening to your audiences, by listening to what people are talking about, by looking at these specific audiences and then creating these lookalike audiences. When we were saying like you other people also like this, well, they're saying, hey, you fall in this lookalike audience, you might also fall this way too. And so what we're doing with personalized marketing, I will not be surprised if we get to a point where you go into a retail store and everything on the shelves is going to be presented in a way that's just for you as you go into it. Now that's maybe 5 years, 10 years, down in the future. But we're getting to a point where one size fits all is dead. That's extinct. Put that away. You want to make everything as personal as possible for you to get a higher chance of conversion. And by making it personal, you have to make it relative. That's the theory. I mean, that's how I can best sum it up today. If you can walk away with anything, it's be relative. Understand what these people care about and understand where you fit in. You might not be the only solution, but where do you fall within that? Don't try to be everything. And if you do that, I promise you, you will see success on social. You'll see success in real life, and you'll see people genuinely listen to you more, care for you more.
Hmm. I really do. I love that, and you're making an impact on the industry when you do that. You're not just simply falling in line and doing what. How do they say? This is a 2017. Don't market like it's 2015. And it's very much of that idea. And I love what Alfredo Tigolo says on Twitter. He says, "Be nimble and personalize experiences for everyone." And I really think that's actually really important, because that is the way. I don't want to be fed the same ad because I don't have the same interests as my neighbor, geographically speaking. But we may have maybe something else. Maybe there's a local event, and that makes it relevant for us because we're located. But we have totally different interests, and we have to, as marketers and as businesses, we have to make sure that we're keyed in on that and that we're using and utilizing tools that we're not marketing like it was 2, 3, 4 years ago, because in the next coming years, it's absolutely going to be about how can I give you the ad experience or present you with information that you actually want to. And we can find that out because of what you're already doing. It's not big brother creepy. It's literally just looking at what are your interests, and because you're telling us by what you're doing. um, so I wanted to key in. There's somebody, Patty Harper over on Periscope actually just made a comment. It was a really great. It says continuous improvement. Yeah. Look what's not working and strive to be better. There's a lot to be said for that. And for those of
Love
you
it.
guys that are joining us on the tail end of our show here, if you haven't already, make sure you go back through our questions. You find them; they're over on the Let's Livestream channel. Make sure you do reply. Use the hashtag, because that's what gets you entered in to be able to what is it? Get the giveaway from Zoomph for whatever the platform package set that you want, because they've got two. They've got the campaign, the marketing, the enterprise. And we'll be tweeting out about this a little bit later on. But so that's probably the number one way that I think I can say. Is that your kind of, is that basically that's your final thoughts there, Amir?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've had a fantastic conversation today, and I think the theme of continuous improvement is quite spot on. I would also say is embrace discomfort. Analytics might not be something that you're currently utilizing looking at the data might not be something that you're factoring into your play, and you might be running by the gut. But I implore you and I encourage you to go look at that data, start understanding the story behind it. How can you humanize this experience? And start benchmarking yourself against these different strategies that you're doing. The future is coming with the personalization and all that. Yes, yes, yes. But if you can be more impactful in any way, is simply by just listening to your customers and responding to them. And you can do that in person, and then you can do that with tools like Zoomph in aggregate on a much larger scale. This has been a fantastic experience, and I've had so much time. Your audience has been grilling me with really great comments and questions. This is quite a group, and I'm so honored to be here.
Well, Amir, thank you for being a guest on our show. We really do appreciate it, and you taking the time to be able to do this, and I think giving us a storytelling insight, a better insight that it's not just about numbers. It really is about what's the story that the numbers are telling us, and giving us a realistic view of it. And if you haven't already, make sure you enter, and we'll be making sure that you guys actually have a chance to be able to use Zoom for free later on the week. But if you would like the platform of the package of your choice, you have to make sure you tweet it out today. So with that, what I'm going to say is that, guys, thank you so much. We do have the questions are going out, and they're actually up on our Twitter. So if you have a question, you can reply. I'm sure Amir will be following up with you. So make sure you connect with him. And thank you for putting the graphic up, because if you do want to get started for free, you can go over to vmug.pro/Zoomph Zoomph free, and it's with a PH and then the F. So it's just a lot of F sounds in there. So yeah, vmug.pro/Zoomph free, all lowercase, one word, and that will get you over and your chance to be able to sign up and be able to use Zoom for free on your own. So with that, guys, I'm going to say thank you so much for being here. Next week, we have a great guest, Leslie Nance. It's somebody, if you haven't yet met Leslie, she is a certified cancer coach, but she does a lot of radio and live streaming, and she does cooking. She kind of puts it all together, and we were so glad that she was able to, because this is the busy season for her, as we're getting into multiple holidays here in the United States. And she's able to take some time out and be our guest next week. So be here next week, Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern time. And you can go over to letslivestream.com or watch us over on Periscope at letslivestream.live. And guys, we really do hope to be able to see you next week. Thank you. Take care.